What's up, Warriors? Welcome back, Battlefield of the Mind. Except today we're going to rock in a very fun way. I got Scott Ragsdale with me from Rags Party of Five. And today we're going to get into some life experience stuff. We're going to get into shit you should have learned already from doing it the hard way. So that way you guys can pay attention to the lesson you missed already. So, Scott, welcome to the Battlefield of the Mind, brother. I'm
Hey,
excited to get you in, man.
I got boots in the sand. I'm ready to go. I've been waiting for this one.
Yeah, let's
I'm
do
I'm
it.
glad to be here.
Now, this is something that we're going to go out. Let's start out strong because you said you
Okay.
have a passionate topic that you want to get into. Let's get into the topic for step parents. Now, some people are like, oh, don't get me started. And on the other side, they're like, please, somebody recognize what I'm doing here. So,
Right.
so give me your $10, not your 2 cents. I want all the money on your take for like, hey, recognize this with your step parents, good ones and bad ones.
Yeah. The good ones. Well, I want to start with the good ones because the good ones is it's a role that it's an honorable role, and I say that is because once you become a step parent, and this is just my opinion, once you become a step parent, you're instantly an outsider. And the one thing I believe with that in being a step parent is that they're not going to love you. They're not going to like you. They're going to accept you because their mom and their dad does. You've got to earn their trust. And I believe once you earn that trust, the rest just falls into place. And that's a good part of it. It's good for me being a step parent because I had to walk that trail. I did. I had to tell them, I'm here to replace somebody. You got a dad. You've got a father. You honor that relationship. You honor that father. What happened between your mom and your dad? It's not my fault. I have nothing to do with it. But me and your mom, we kind of like each other, and so I just think that uh, that trust needs to be earned first. And now that's a good side of it. The bad side of it is that here's the kids talking about talk about feeling left out. When we get together as a family, and it's weird because it's happened with Amy and I, and our kids are kind of grown, so they have all these memories. Amy has all the memories with her kids. I got these memories with my kids, so her and her kids tell jokes, and I'm sitting there like, kind of like the mop in the corner. I'm like, yeah, that's funny. What the hell is she talking about? And then same thing with us. So um, it does have its ups and downs, but I will tell you this: it's one of the greatest titles I've ever had.
It's a tough job, man. How many step kids do you have?
I have two. I have
You got
two,
two.
and yeah, I have two, and then Amy has three. So I have three from a previous marriage, and Amy has two from her previous marriage. And it's a little bit tougher, I think, for parents to for the kids to still live at home because here's this new dad.
Hmm.
They're not calling me dad or they're not calling her mom, but here's this new person that is, where's my dad at? From the ages where they can kind of understand stuff from like 3 to, the teenage years, because when the kids get teenagers, man, them kids just get psychotically crazy. But so I think, I mean, they go through this time warp. I'm like, are you really human? But yeah, so from being at home, I think it's tougher for the step parent role if there's kids who still live in the house. But again, bottom line, once that damn trust is built, it's smooth sailing for the part of it. So that's a good part of it. Yeah, that's a
Well,
good part of it.
it's a tough thing for the measurement. So I got three teenage girls. I'm
Ooh,
stepdad for each, and so I've
right.
got a 17, 16, 13. And boy, do girls not make it easy for you. And I've been around for a handful of years now. And let's just say the trust thing and the earned thing and the volunteer element of a step parent, this is moms and dads. it's a tough gig. I'm gonna push one direction real quick. If you have a volunteer parent, you have a step parent that came into the picture, they love you so much. And you know what? I'm going to say something a little fucked up, but I hope that people get it. Bringing a bunch of kids that somebody else made for you to raise is not a benefit at first.
Mm-mm,
It's
mm-mm,
baggage
it's
at
not.
first.
It is.
Raising another person's people is not like, you should love my kids or else. It's like, hold on, you're bringing baggage. You got to slow down. Slow down. You're taking a large draw from my resources for people that aren't even mine.
You're
Hold
right with
your
that.
horses. This is a volunteer job with a lot
Hell
of
yeah, you're right about that. Yeah.
that's a lot of take. And you'll be rewarded with way less recognition. They will not respect you. They will try to pit us against each other. They will do all kinds of bullshit. And you also have to contend with all my wounds from their parent, their other
Spot on.
side.
Hell yeah.
And you got to deal with all the damage I'm going to put on you from their shit. And pending if they're the asshole or not, their shit too.
You're
So
right with that.
for all the step parents who are out there, if you are not giving maximum recognition to the honor that this person has sacrificed for you and your people, and the bullshit of all your baggage that they took on because they love you that much, you better get you a thank you card on the way home or something,
You're right with
because
that.
this person gave their life for all of your lives and the mistakes from your past lives,
Mm-hmm.
and you're not going to appreciate them.
Right.
Listen, make sure every day you get real appreciative. You don't get a you get, go ahead.
I agree with that. Yeah, and to hone in on that, 4 months ago, I was at a gas station, and this woman is pulling up to this. I'm out there pumping gas, and and this is one of our videos, TikTok videos that went viral. And if I wasn't a calm person, we probably wouldn't be talking right now. But I was pumping gas, and I hear this car pull up, and this woman is like, rah, 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 and I thought she's screaming on the telephone. Well, she pulls up, and I still hear her just going crazy. She gets out, and I hear her slam the door, and she says, "And you're not even my real child." I sat there for a second, and I said, "Are you having a bad day?" She said, "It's none of your fucking business." I looked into the back seat, and here's this kid, 10, 11 years old, like this with a head down. I said, "Well, it must not have been that bad. You're talking to that person in the back seat like that." She said, "It's none of your fucking business." Well, you just made it my business. You just made my business. And she got pissed off and left. But, role is a magnificent role. But you have to build a relationship with each one of those children that are involved in that relationship. And to demoralize a 10 or 12 year old, 10 to 12-year-old child, that's not even your child. I came home and I was fired up. I mean, Amy said, "What's wrong with you?" I said, "Listen, just listen." And it was tough for her to, it was tough for me to hear that woman talk to that child like that, um, being in that step parent role. So, I just believe that it's a hard relationship. If if I came to Amy with 3 children, that's not just my relationship that she has to build on. Those are 3 individual relationships with 3 individual opinions and 3 individual personalities that she has to build that trust up with. And fortunate and lucky for us, it's worked out well. So,
Yeah, it's a bummer to me when I watch this kind of stuff where people who are not healthy get into
mhm,
relationships and then they pass their curses on to children. And this kid didn't ask for this lady to be in his life or her life. He's a
right,
little, I don't know if
right.
it was a boy or a girl in the back seat,
It was
but
a
this
boy.
kid,
Hmm.
he didn't ask for this. And so here he is now And this is where like I do push into where like I look at society's push. Ladies, you wanted the equality, you wanted a voice, you wanted to be in charge, you wanted to be able to have power, you want all these things. And then now that you have it, this is what you're doing. You got the
Right.
microphone, and now you're going to go ahead and beat the crap out of a 10-year-old little boy.
Yeah.
If you guys don't remember, being under 10 is hard. Being a teenager, hard. I don't think you guys remember how much that sucked. In fact, the reason you're probably an asshole, that kid, is because it was probably hard for you too.
Hmm.
And then here you are passing on a generational curse from a bloodline that's not even his because you don't have the awareness enough to take a damn deep breath.
I mean, yeah, and I mean, the way she was screaming at that child coming down to the gas station. I mean, I thought, like I said, I thought she was talking to in her car mic on her car phone. Yeah, I just,
Now here's another part of the
some people
equality.
don't need that damn title.
Here's where it gets tricky, and this is why I have a hard time with societal setup at the moment. And we're in a really weird transition phase, which is why I'm probably noticing a lot more men's rights activists are becoming women. Like women are the ones who are going, hey, ladies, whoa, chill the fuck out.
You're right.
Um, because
Exactly. Yeah.
what would you have done if this was a dude who was tearing into a 10-year-old, just not even his kid, and he's just tearing in? Would you still have had the same restraint? And he tells you it's not your none of your fucking business. Would you still have had the same restraint if that was a guy?
That's a good point, because, there's that barrier of strength and overpowership from that's, I think society has placed where a man is stronger than a woman, where I'm not going to, and I don't think I would have if that would have been a man, I don't think I would have put my hands on him. Um,
No.
and
If this guy was doing the same thing, none of your fucking business, and he starts coming at
well,
you, would
yeah,
you?
well, that'd been a
Would it
different damn
have been?
story. Oh,
That's what
hell
I
yeah.
mean, is because
Just
that's
like
what she
this.
did to you. Yeah,
Right.
you. It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
you just went over the top. You just
That's it. Yeah. Yeah.
your Sylvester Stallone just got turned on. So
Right.
like,
Exactly.
well, that's what I mean is societally, if we want to be treated equal and fair and just, and person A, person B, well, women should be able to do just as much as men can do. Well, if this was a man who was just, and let's go ahead and flip the genders, it's a little
Hmm.
girl in the back seat, and this guy's going just as hard. Would you have had the same like restraint as a female losing it on a male kid?
I don't think I would have. I don't
That's
think I don't think I would have, because here is a man,
mm-hmm.
a man who is a provider, who is an authoritative figure, promoting his dominance over a kid who has no borders and no boundaries, and
Mm-hmm.
looks to him for safety. Yeah, I probably would have stepped across that gas station. Once he told me it wasn't any of my fucking business, it would have been 61225. Yeah, it's my
And
business now.
now here's my actual, like, just if I'm looking at just to take a step back, isn't this stepmom flexing her authority, flexing her
Hmm.
dominance, her strength on a little child? It's a 10-year-old boy. That
Hmm.
boy's got nothing.
Right.
Just because he's a male doesn't mean he's any more equipped than a female at 10 years old.
Yeah, I mean they're both equally in everything at 10.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
and I, and I
there's no step the line because it's a lady, and this is where
right,
women are kind of goofing this up, is because you want to be treated the same, but we still don't treat you the same because you don't want the consequences of that equal treatment.
right.
Because if that was a dude, you'd have dropped that guy. But if
He
it's a
wouldn't
woman,
have.
she disrespected you multiple times to your face,
Hmm.
and you're like,
And now in the public's eye, if there and there was and on the same subject scenario, there was other people at that gas station. If I would have crossed the line and jumped in her ass, the people probably would have jumped in my ass for jumping on her ass when she
right.
didn't, when nobody knew the root of it.
This gets me to a different thing. We would
Okay.
care so much to protect an abusive woman, but
Hmm.
we would cheer if you beat up an abusive man.
Right.
What is that?
Man, I just, that's it's a weird complex thought process with protecting a woman and beating a man. Um,
I don't
in
think it's that
in those
complex
two,
at all. It seems pretty
yeah, yeah.
simple.
I mean, in those two scenarios that you put, is it, gosh, I just, um, but you're right. They're quick to say, here's a guy who's abusive, kick his ass.
Mm-hmm.
And then here's a woman who's being abused, let's protect her.
She's
When,
the abuser in this
the
one.
abuser, yeah,
This
and
lady is fucking this little kid up.
mhm.
This kid's gonna have issues. You just saw a gas station stop. You don't see
you,
his
you don't
life.
see everything. You don't see what's behind the house, behind the doors, in the bedroom, in the backyard.
Mhm.
I mean, you just
You
don't
don't
see
know.
that.
You don't know what she
Yeah,
throws at him, or she puts a cigarette out on him. You don't know what this
right.
kid's got.
And all I saw was him with it, like I said, with his head down. I didn't hear nothing from him or nothing, but I mean, just the abuse of that title.
Yeah.
It just really it was really disturbing that day.
Yeah, we're in a tricky time, and just for these one scenarios, this is where like women have fought for the opportunity for women
Hmm.
to have their voice. They have
Yep.
fought to say, "Hey, we should be respected. We can have leadership roles.
Yep.
We can handle levels of authority. We got this. Let's do it." And now ladies have this opportunity, and you watch a maximum level abuse of it. This is why I'm watching, like, there are good women going, whoa, hey, but where are
Hmm.
the good women in this one? Because if that was a dude, you'd have knocked them out. Where's the good women going, hey, you're the fucking problem? Where's the good ladies at? Where they at?
You know, it's hard to judge a book by its cover. And
We
that's
sure did it for that dude though.
we damn sure did, didn't we?
We
Yeah,
sure did.
uh, we did. And I'm not a psychologist. Hadn't even been to college. Couldn't tell you about any psychology. But
Mhm.
that woman's history, you know, like you mentioned before, what was that woman's history in her upbringing to make her react? Did something trigger her from her childhood to make her
Yes,
react like that? I don't know.
sure did.
Um,
Because
but
this
I,
was
but
a
I,
trained response. She
yeah,
sure did have something happen.
hmm yeah. I mean, there was something that made her become instantly aggressive.
Yes,
I mean, but but Rick, I go back to that 10-year-old. What could that 10-year-old do?
nothing,
A 10-year-old.
nothing,
What could a 10-year-old do in back of a car to make you belittle them like that?
nothing.
Nothing.
This shows the lack of training by this step parent.
Yeah.
This
Hmm.
shows how untrained and how unworthy this person was. Now, I don't know if they have their own kids. Probably the lack of compassion would suggest
Yeah.
otherwise.
Right.
Which also, I mean, gets into like even just regular parenting is hard enough as it is, but just even the step parent element, there are people who just maybe we should vet a little harder before we give them the job,
Right. You
because
know,
you're putting your baby's lives in the line with the choice that you make on which person you say, hey, this will be the other parent, this will be the step
right.
side.
And
you know
and I thought about that comment that you just made. Here's his kid that's going home.
Mhm.
When they get home, now this father has to choose what story is correct. Is this his wife who's probably had some child relation issues? Do you believe her story, or do you believe the child's story? So
I think that
so
dad, he's got an
that
issue.
puts
The dad
that
there is
put
an issue too.
that puts the dad in a weird predicament. I
Well,
just
just I'll give
you, that's real spot on with that. Absolutely, yeah. So
you know
it's probably a complete horrific environment for all parties involved.
correct.
And I wish I could have took the kid with me that day and say, hey, we ain't got to talk about nothing. Let's go get some ice cream. Just tell me where you live. But she drove off like a maniac. But yeah, the step parenting is it's a great role. It's a hard role.
Hmm.
And um, I do feel it's an honor to finally get that title. You're
Hmm.
instantly given the title, but to earn that position, I think it's a good thing. There's some great, wonderful step parents out there, and there's some really pieces of shit ones,
They
and
sure
I
are.
witnessed it.
I think this is just a people thing. I'll throw it out
Right,
while we're out there. I'll throw some public appreciation out there. Um, praise to parents, of course. So this isn't to belittle or to ignore or to shut down true parents, the parents, but let's go into the volunteers themselves. So my stepdad and my stepmom, I have one of each. I got my stepdad, Ray. That's a good dude. Like I got a good stepdad. And my stepmom, Charlotte, love Charlotte. We had a great talk this weekend. We got to have a good heart to heart, tear it out. Like
Sure.
that, these are good people. But here's the thing too that I had to recognize also is that for me to recognize the value of the sacrifice of my step parents, it was like a decade later before I go, oh, I get it now. You guys put up with a bunch of shit with no recognition. You weren't called stepdad or stepmom. You were always Ray or Charlotte.
Right.
Like like you were a name. You weren't even a
Hmm.
title. You were just somebody I know. And it wasn't until later that I realized all the values or the things that I learned from you or the sacrifice that you gave or how much you put into it that I was like, damn, you were pretty good at that. Like that was cool. Like I didn't give you the credit you deserved,
Sure.
and I
Sure.
didn't say I love you to those people when even if I did, I didn't say it until way later.
Right.
And it's one of those things where like I even with our daughters, there were some moments that they had to go through that were like brutal. And even our oldest had to go through some really tough stuff until she had a wake up call. And then she's like, you know what? I tried to play it tough as a teenager. Truth is, I didn't know how good I had it. And I do love you guys. I didn't
Hmm.
know, and until you start hitting a rock bottom thing, they won't do it. And the other two never will they ever. They'll never say it.
Right.
The middle one will show it, never say it. And the last one, I got another decade until they go, all right, yeah, I guess, you
Right.
were cool.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I I can relate to that. Um, I'm the I feel very fortunate in saying this. Whenever Amy's kids have an issue, I'm the first person they call. And to have my telephone ring, cautious, hey, what's wrong? But they always tell me I can always depend upon you. And, just to have that, just to have that little sector in their mind, if I got a flat tire, if I got a problem, if somebody's messing with me, whatever the scenario comes up as young adults, they can always call, and they do always call me. And
Mhm.
that's that reward we've been talking about.
Yeah, well, honor to you, bro, for being able to get to that point too. Those when you talk about earned, I have a lot of when I do deep psychology conversations with people, and I talk about the terminology we use for respect and trust. I'm like, how do you earn it? I'll take it to the DNA on people. Like, but to say like, aside from all of that aspect of it, to say I have earned the position in this child's heart to
Right.
say that's my go-to guy.
Yeah.
I can say for the oldest one, I'm first call.
Yeah.
We've been through enough battles that she knows that I'll come in and bleed for you. She
Right.
knows. The middle one, only maximum crisis. Then she calls me. When it's really bad, then I'm involved. And
I
so
got
then
you.
she'll go chain of command. The little one still, if I got hit with a meteor today, she'll be like, "That's weird. Who wants pizza?" Like we, so we still got some ways to go with it. But 13 is hard, so I got to remember
It's a
that too.
very hard age. It is.
13's hard, and so that
Yeah.
helps me a lot too to remember. Like, I'll even just this will be a funny moment in the future. Even me being like a behavioral expert, we're all fucking our kids up. Just so you know, if anybody thinks they're the best parent, we're all fucking our kids up. No matter what, we'll accidentally be doing this. And we may not be giving them our generational curses our parent had, but we'll give them new ones that we made up for them. So, like,
Hmm.
I've even had people whose parents were so good, they don't believe their life makes sense. And so they sabotage all their good things because their parents did too good of a job and they don't deserve it. Like, you can't win. No matter how good you are, it's fucked up. So like all we gotta do is teach our kids to be able to deal with how to deal with fucked up
Right.
shit. That's life. And so I've gotten to the point with the 13-year-old because 13 is just like it's the be a dickhead phase. That's
Yeah.
what 13 is. You gotta be like, whatever, I don't
Right.
care. I'm talking to my friends. Like, it's just that phase.
It
And
is.
so I've gotten to the point where I'm like, listen, I'm gonna go straight to bribery at this point. I'm bribing. I'm like, I tell you what, every time you just do general kindness, I'll give you $1. I just fucking try. And I'm low hanging fruit. Like, you can just be
Right.
like, hey Rick, did you see this video today? I'm like, that was very nice of you for sharing. Here's $1. Like,
That's it.
I'm low hanging fruit at this point because like 13 is hard, and so I'm just
It
trying to
is.
be compassionate.
Yep. That's yeah. I put the broom in the corner. Here's $1.
Yeah, I'm like, fuck it. Yeah. Hey,
Yes.
did you sweep the floor for everybody? So nice. Here's a. I'm like,
How many
I got.
people's in the room? 5. Here. Here's fucking
Yeah.
$5.
You could give me a high five and I'll give you $5. Like,
That's it.
listen,
That's it.
I'm at this point, and it gets tough because like they don't really get it. And so I'm at that point where I'm like, I got a pocket full of dollars. I wish you'd just will you please just get some of these dollars? Will you please?
Exactly.
Here, give me
Exactly.
1 second. Let me let this dog out. He's losing his mind.
Okay.
We're so live it hurts. All right. No, but it's fun with the kids, man. It's fun to watch. But I just know that I just because I know how this works, I'm like, oh, in 10 years when she's like, thank you so much. Like, I'll get it. I'll get
Hmm.
it. I just got to put my decade in, man. I just got to put in my decade of my good life, my good years here, my resources, all these thankful years, just so later on, they'll be like, yeah, I guess thanks. Like, that's
But for
all
you,
I'm waiting for.
but for you, when does that decade start?
So like with like
13, 15?
so we're about 6 years in right now. But I think that usually, because you already know, around in the 20s is when they get enough life under their belt where they start going like, oh, I get it. Because like, in the teens, they're like, we know more than you. How can you do?
Right.
And like, you've never done it before,
Right.
and like, and they don't understand a lot for those things either because they never had to. And that's just part
Right.
of being a teenager, so they
Sure.
know more because everything's gone the way they want it to because they don't understand how it comes to be that it's gone the way you want it to.
Right.
They're like, it's easy. I just go buy new shoes. And I'm like, where'd the money come from for shoes? And then where do you put the shoes when you have them? Yeah,
Right.
all these factors around you, you didn't do anything to get.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I remember a friend of mine told me he and his sister had gotten in trouble and she was 15, and his dad was like, the sister and the dad were arguing about something, and he said, I'll sit and listen to it. And he said, Scott, Dad told her, go pack your shit and get out of my house at 15. So she went back there to her bedroom, got a suitcase, packed the whole suitcase, brought it back up to, he said, come here, come here. He said, bring your ass here. He said, what? He opened up a suitcase, took everything out. She goes, what are you doing? He said, don't interrupt me. It's my house. Took everything out of it, one change of underwear, one set of clothes, and got a Walmart bag and gave it to her. She says, why are you doing all that? He says, you ain't got a fucking job. I bought all of it. That's my suitcase. Bye. She went there, sat on the steps, went down by the stop sign for about 2 or 3 hours. And of course, this was in the 80s, back by the stop sign, and came back home because he was hungry about 4 hours later, realizing, hey, I really fucked this one up, didn't I, Dad?
I like the hard line. I wish you could hold them these days. We're in an
Yeah,
interesting time for hard lines, actually. I train
right.
hard lines.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard with kids, especially the step parent. How many
Mm-hmm.
step parents are emasculated when it comes to talking to the children?
Man. Mm.
Like that's not your kid. You can't say that, or you
Right.
can't punish them. That's not your kid. It's like, yeah, but if I'm the man of the house, I still
I'm,
should be able to have authority here. It's like, not over that one. I supersede you with that one. They're not yours. How many people kind of goof that one up? What do you think?
I think it's I think it's a very large number, and I think that causes marital issues. Here you are married, and you got these step kids, and I'm trying to get one of their ass, and you're telling me I can't. Well, now you and I have a problem. Especially if you tell me I can't get onto them, or I shouldn't have been that hard on them in front of the child. That lets that child know, even though you're the man of the house, you don't have no authority anymore. like you just said. So, I think it goes to a second level where, hell, I can't discipline the child, and now you're correcting me in front of them. Well, me and you got problems before we even start talking about the child. So, yeah, I bet the number's a lot larger out there than is perceived or than is shown. I bet it's a big number.
Yeah, it's pretty wild to watch too. Now, I'm going to throw out a couple different things here and then hear your opinion. And I also honor one of my friends too, Chris Burkett, for the To Be Better podcast. Him and I were talking about this, and we were talking about the order for priorities. Like, what should it be in? Should it be like, God, you, and then like kids, and then relationship? Like, what's the order for your priorities? Should kids be above the relationship? And that's their kids, and
Mhm.
you're the step parent. As a step parent, should relationship be underneath authority for kids? And he said, no, it can't be that way. He said, if the relationship fails, the kids get fucked. But if the kids are doing okay and then you're not okay, like your relationship, you have to go. Like everyone, it fucks everything up.
Right.
Make sure you two are solid,
Absolutely.
and then the kids will be okay. But if you say the kids first and then let's get to you, a lot of times the step parent doesn't get gotten to, especially the men. The women will
Hmm.
be burnt out, and then like intimacy and love and
Right.
compassion and listening and kindness go out the window because they're fried, because the relationship is a lower priority.
Hmm.
And he said, I agree with him on this one. He's like, no happy marriage, no happy kids. Like it's the other way around. You have to be okay with your partner,
You do.
and then the kids get the residual from this.
Hmm.
Now, second part, as the guy for Andrea, like when I said, baby, I love you. If I'm coming in, if they're at our place, I'm the dad here. We don't you don't get to go, you can't talk to them that way. It's like, if I'm with you, they're my kids. You don't
Hmm.
like it, you got to be with a different kind of guy. Like, that's going to be it. So if I'm like, you lose privileges, or that's not going to happen that way, or you got to talk to me about that, if you don't like that, and you're not going to agree that I have your best interest and the child's best interest at heart, if you don't believe I'm that guy, we can't do this. This isn't going to be a
You
thing.
you can't cohabitate together. You can't.
Yeah. So if I go, I'm calling the shot as the alpha of this house, because the reason you all get to be kind of assholes today is because I keep the assholes who make you unsafe away. And
Right.
so since you don't even know that you're safe because of me, you guys get to make this place chaos. You're welcome. But
Absolutely.
if I ever have to correct chaos because that's a little too far past the line, I get to do that. And if you're not okay with that, you need to be with a guy who doesn't have any moral high ground, who doesn't have your best interest at heart, who doesn't stand for anything. You're going to need one of those,
Hmm.
because you won't be able to deal with a strong male.
Right.
You need to get a weak one. Then you'll be maybe happier, right?
That's
They're
it.
like,
That's
well,
it.
they're like, I don't want that. I'm like, well, then when I call a shot, back me up. That's it.
So all you do is, and if there's a problem with that, then you, then I think the wife and the mother need to take care of that off the record,
Right.
behind the scene. I remember I was a young sailor, and my department head, we had and it's funny that you mentioned that. We had a meeting. I was stationed in Iceland, up there in fucking frozen ass world Iceland. I mean, I went from Jacksonville, Florida to Keflavik, Iceland. Talk about going from day to night. But it was a small community up there, and they had department head meeting every Tuesday, and he'd come in and tell us everything that was put out. He said, "I need to tell you what happened this weekend, so you don't hear any bullshit. This is what happened. I've spoke to the captain. It's all cleared. We're good." And his little son was named JJ,
Hmm.
and they were biological parents. The kid that came in, and the mom had told him to do something, and Rick was sitting in his name was Rick too. Rick was sitting in his chair, and the little boy said, "I'll forget what it was." The little boy said, "I'll get in a minute." He said, I looked over. I said, "Come here." He said, "Sir, come over here." He got close to him, and he popped him in his mouth, and the kid, and it kind of, it didn't bleed a lot. It just broke skin a little bit. He started crying, and the wife said, "Hey, hey, hey, you hang on just a second." He said, "Let me tell you something." He said, "Look at that woman over there." He said, "Stand up, stand your ass up when I'm talking to you." And he made him stand up straight. He said, "Look over at that woman." He said, "Who is that?" He said, "That's my mommy." "Oh, no, it's not. It's my wife. You're in my house. You will never disrespect my wife in my house. She tells you to do something, unless it causes you to be hurt, and you gonna damn do it." So that's on the realm of step parent, but you know, he put that out there to us because he wanted them to know, because in Iceland, pregnancy was rampant, man. I mean, people were just having babies because there ain't nothing to do up there except drink and have relations. And he said, before you get in this parent role, he said, it's a it's a bad job out there. It's going to push you to the limit. So, but I just thought that was kind of a unique story at a 5-year old. How he said, "Hey, look, I'm alpha. That's my queen. This is my house." So I just thought that was kind of a
That's
cool thing you did to him.
it may make sense. I think that today has pushed the boundaries of like being able to do a course correction is now has been judged, blamed, and shamed to try to make alphas self-submit so
Hmm.
that we can have a world of um, weak people call the shots. So make you self-censor and shut yourself down so that you like, because think about like even that story, how many people would be like, you should never hit a kid and she should never have, you should never. And they'll start doing this thing to say like, no, that was a course correction. He didn't close fist that child.
Right.
He
And that
just
was
went,
everybody's comment. That was everybody's
that,
comment. How could you hit a kid?
but that's the point is what if you, this is where people like me come in and I'm going to rattle the cage. People like me will come in. I'm not saying, like that was right or wrong. I'm going, well, that was a course correction. No different than like telling your dog not to shit on the carpet. Like it's a course correction. It's not meant to be destructive. He's not breaking bones. He's not tying him to a radiator. Like it's nothing fucked up. It's just like, hey, wake up. This is going to hurt. But you need to feel that to understand that there is hurt associated with hurting mother.
Hmm.
There's do not disrespect this woman because there's a cost to it. There's a price
Right.
tag. And I need you to understand the price can go up based on offense. And I'm going to train you young. No different than the concept here that makes sense is do you know how they break circus elephants from like not just ripping the chain out of the ground and running away?
Mm-mm.
So when they get a baby elephant, they'll have like a big like chain, a big thick chain, and like a big lock thing they put on its foot, like on its leg. And that little baby will pull and pull and pull and like and just try and get out. And no matter how hard it pulls, it's just that chain is just way too thick. It's too strong. And it will do everything it can until it goes, I guess I can't get out of there. And so it'll create an association to this is impossible. I can't get out, so I'm going to stop even trying to fuck with it. And then after that happens with that baby elephant, you can just tie a regular little rope around that thing's ankle and
And the mindset is
it'll never even try to pull it out. That thing could rip that thing out in a second when it's a grown adult, but even as a grown adult, it'll have an association to you can't pull against that. You can't beat it. And that's kind of the same thing where if I tell the boy when he's young, there's a cost and you don't want to have to pay the cost as you get older. And as you get older, he's like, I know that there's a price tag to disrespecting mother. That's my mama. And or that's,
hmm
that's my stepdad's wife. And I'll have honor and dignity and I'll defend my wife too in the same way. And in that way that he's done that, he's taken that kid and going, hey, I taught you when you're young, there's a small course correction, but there will be a course correction.
right.
And from that moment, he no longer has to hit that child because, well, I learned if I pull on that, that's not going to work.
Hmm.
And that means from that moment on, there is way less abuse to a kid who's been course corrected
Right.
than people who aren't doing proper course corrections. And this is something that I would challenge, especially with today's generation, that correct course corrections. Now, I'm not saying like backhanding and making the kid bleed is necessarily correct, but there is going to be some level of, if you fuck around, you'll find out, that needs to be associated with the man of the house. That's tough today.
Hmm.
That's tough today because, like, even the I'll pack your bag for you, and here's a
Hmm.
Walmart bag, go get lost. Like, you could easily have child protective services there.
Right. Because
You know what I
everybody
mean?
has everybody's got DHR on speed dial number one.
But there's a price tag to these things too, and kids don't understand too. What if that shit works? You lose your family. So you think that you're going to call the parent, like, oh, if you don't do what I say, I'll call protective services. These dum dums don't understand. You lose your family, end up in foster care.
Just like
Like,
that.
and you may not get a good one. It may be a bad home. They're not all wonderful. Some of them are good, but there's some bad ones. You may end up in a
Hmm.
bad one with a bad kid who's in there who does bad things to you, and all because you want to prove a point to stepdad or stepmom.
Yeah.
Like, people don't understand. There's a heavy, heavy toll to not doing course correction,
Right.
and
I
this is a weird world.
I remember when my son went to school, they'd bring home daily journals, and it'd be like green light, red light, yellow light. But Brady was green light today. He was red light day, and he came home and he kept running up the steps and running down the steps. I'm like, son, quit running up and down the damn steps, dude. Well, I'm trying to make myself tired. I will go do something else. Up and down steps, up and down steps. So he did it one more time and said, come here. I took his shoes off and I spanked the bottom of his feet. And I heard that on Dr. Phil. He ran up and down steps. So the next time he put them shoes on and he put on them steps, he remembered, well, if I run up and down these damn steps again, my dad's going to beat the shit out of the bottom of my feet. And so going back to the school where the journals came to play, he kept screaming out in class, being rude to the teacher. I told him, I said, son, if you bring home one more red light on you screaming at this damn class, your ass is mine. And he was probably 5 or 6. Sure enough, he came home the next Monday or Tuesday, blurting out class, screaming at teacher. All right, come on. I took him outside in the backyard, had him stand on a 5-gallon bucket. I put him in his underwear, and I got a metal pot and a wooden spoon, and I had him bang on that pot and scream. And I said, if I don't hear you screaming behind this door, you're not screaming loud enough. Ah, ah. I wanted to give him a little bit of laryngitis just so he could understand the next time I scream. Ooh, hold on a second. I remember what happened last time I got caught screaming. So, you know, that that behavior, all parents teach differently. Um, but I had seen that episode on an early episode of Dr. Phil about child behavior, about correcting it, how they messed up. And I thought, well, hell, I'm fixing to beat the shit out of my son's feet. I get tired of him running up and down them damn steps. And he didn't run up the steps anymore, but
Yeah, it's tricky on those. As far as agree or disagree, it's not really relevant either way. But as far as the steps one, I can see the steps one. The public embarrassment one, though, I think that one can kind of get trickier because it may make him no longer try to do things that could be potentially risky for his own. Like, he won't start a business, or he won't draw attention, or he won't ask a girl out, or he won't, like, anything that would be a public embarrassment. That one could be a little different, just as far as I look ahead. Slapping your feet, like, this is where the impact on things. I even say this too, like, we discount discomfort far more than we think we should. And here's what I mean by this. Would you rather take a punch to the face from a grown man, or have wet socks for 1 week?
me personally, punch me once.
That the wet socks is
Yeah,
so uncomfortable.
yeah,
It's
absolutely.
but you're not gonna. It's not a damage. It's just wet socks, but it
But
creates problems.
it's a continuous period of that uncomfortability, which causes problems down the road.
Right.
That
And so a lot of times, just we discount how powerful discomfort is,
Mhm.
but public embarrassment can mess up. Like, I don't want to do a speech at school. I don't want to be noticed anymore. I feel ashamed of who I am. I'm not a good thing. I'm not good because they all laughed at me. And I've had to help people work through those traumas because they won't start a business, or they won't ask a girl out, or they won't try anything risky because if they get noticed, it's embarrassing. And like, the attention becomes not good because I had so much negative attention.
Wow.
And so it's hard to figure out what's a good association punishment, because sometimes we'll do way more damage with the correction. Like the foot
Hmm.
one, that's just like you said, the punch in the face, it's going to be uncomfortable, but I'm still me.
Right.
But if you do a
Absolutely.
total embarrassment or a total like destroy who you are as a person one, well, that one's a little different than the like my foot hurt for a minute. Like a butt
Right.
spanking is more appropriate than public embarrassment.
Right.
So it gets tricky to figure out like, well, what's the best way to do this? Because nobody trained me how to do this. So I'm kind of fucking winging it.
Right.
I just want the damn kid to be respectful in
That's
school.
it. That's it. Be respectful. Say yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. Learn your manners, and I call them red lights coming home. Let's get some green and yellow, green and yellow
I,
ones.
I used to do stuff that would just be leading into discomfort. Like weird ones too. I used to try to be creative with it because I didn't want to beat the shit out of the kid. I had my ex girlfriend. She had a young son and a young daughter, and I raised them for like it was almost 8 years. And they were good kids. It was a tricky time for everybody. But the boy, sweet kid, but man, he would hard weigh that shit. He would
Hmm.
hard weigh it. And I would have to do stuff that was like, I didn't want to hurt him. So I would just make it uncomfortable. Well, he liked playing football at school. Well, I'm like, dude, you fuck around. I'm taking your shoelaces. Those are mine. Well, you can't play football without shoelaces. Your shoes keep falling off, but you can't take your shoes off at school. And so now you just got floppy shoes, and it's so uncomfortable. He can't play because he's like, this is stupid, and like he's just uncomfortable. I
Hmm.
didn't hit him or hurt him or
Right.
beat him up or nothing. Your shoes are weird. I'm like, I'll do that. I'll take small things like the Xbox and stuff like that were easy ones. But I'll take stuff like your favorite pillow. You can have the shitty pillow. Don't go take a couch pillow then. But I can't sleep well on that. I'm like, I know. It's gonna
There you
be
go.
uncomfortable. You're gonna suck. Or like you don't get the good blanket. Here, you get this shitty blanket. That's my blanket.
Right.
Well, I don't like that blanket. I'm like, I don't like you being disrespectful to your mother or screaming at school. So well, these are uncomfortable conversations. Looks like we're both uncomfortable.
That's
You
funny.
shape it up
That's
though. You be cool, dude. I'll give you your shoelaces, your favorite blanket, your favorite pillow, all that. You can have all of it. You
I
just
give it
choose,
all
bud.
back to you at once.
You go ahead and be cool. I'll hook you up, bro. You have a good life. But if you want to be
Ah,
nonsense, well, then I guess you're gonna have to do it on a nonsense term. So I try to like lean into like what is not as insane, but I just know that discomfort is sometimes worse than just getting slapped.
sure.
Because like if you had to
Yep.
take like between the two, you're like, man, I'll take that hit way before that, like, that total embarrassment thing.
Right.
Like I'll take that one in a second.
Exactly.
So maybe I'm leaning in towards like slap the shit out of your kid is better than public embarrassment. Hey, listen, am
Yeah.
I right? I don't know.
Yeah. Rick, you told me to slap the shit out of my kid. What do you
Yeah.
mean, officer?
But tell him you love him first. I love you.
I love you. Yeah. It's gonna hurt you more than it does me.
This is what love means.
Right.
Yeah, we're fucking our kids up. Yeah, these kids are all fucked. All right. Just for the record, we're not telling you to embarrass your kids or publicly beat your kids. We're not saying that. We're just trying to go, well, being a parent sure is fucking hard. And how do we know what to do? We see what other people do. Do your best. But I would say, eh, don't discount and discomfort. I'm just
Right.
putting it out
Yeah.
there. Don't discount the value of that's uncomfortable.
Right.
Maybe it'll save a couple kids. And then
Uh,
also don't scream at the kids. What a useless activity. That
right.
lady in the car, what a waste of time.
It
Like
was.
it just to tear a kid down because you don't want to do self work. Man, unworthy. Okay, I got one for you. Help my guys out. Help the boys out there. The boys, whether you're a husband or a step husband or stepdad, like give me the husbands that are out there. Our boys struggle. And here's the struggle. We do not want to be abusive. Fair or not fair?
Fair.
Fair. We don't want to be abusive. I don't want to
Mm-mm.
hit my girl. Do you want to hit your girl?
No.
No,
No,
we don't want that. We don't want to hit our
no,
girl. All right. Do we want to punish and starve our girls or make them feel like very miserable? Do we want to make them have a miserable life?
no.
No, we don't want that either. Okay. When it comes to the ability for a strong male to hold the line, like, babe, please stop doing that shit with the kid. Stop losing your mind. Don't scream at the gas station at the kid and lose your mind. You can't have this. Like, stop that stuff. What line can a man hold with a woman that would still be like respectable without it becoming this wild, abusive, or overstepping boundaries? What do you got for advice on, like, here's how you keep a healthy dynamic, even if it's having unhealthy behavior? Where's a man's line and how do you hold it? What do you think?
Yeah, good question. I believe that the line is drawn with the relationship between the man and the woman. Because I believe once they cross that line, you are crossing the line of our relationship, even though it's going into the next generation being the children. You know, there is so many disrespectful actions that happen with that. And you know, they had to put in their mind, and I may be totally wrong for saying this shit, but they had to put in their mind, okay, you were married and I was married before. We're fixing to get together. And we got these damn stepchildren. Back to what we said. Who comes first? We have to come first. We have to be a united front. Even if you reached over and just totally slapped the shit out of them, we have to be a united front in front of them and then handle it offline. Because I think once a child, and man, kids are so fucking smart nowadays. I mean, kids are 3 years old and are fucking brainiacs. And ever since the invention of the cell phones and search engines, they know every damn thing, or appear to be it. I think if that united front is shown, and there is nothing that can penetrate that, you know, they have to agree when it comes to the children, because it's a unique dynamic with two different families coming together. I think they have to agree before it even gets started on disciplinary actions, disciplinary roles. There can't be good cop, bad cop. You know, most. I think it's human nature. Most of the biological children will go first to the biological parent. I could be wrong in saying that. That's where I've been. For really any type of sensitive or oh my God, am I getting in trouble? What's Scott gonna think kind of issue? But to answer your question in a final line, there has to be there has to be a solid front where both those parents agree on every term, on every level. Because if not, they're going to ruin that child, because that child's going to think, I've got to, once I get married, I got to stay married to this person forever because my mom was married to a stepdad and it was fucked from day one. So if they grow up, getting second tier, if they grow up and get married, they'll be afraid to leave the person they're with because of the step environment that they grew up in. And like I said, I could be wrong, but I just I just believe that both parents need to be together. The roles just need to be defined. They just do.
So I think on this one, I'm gonna agree with you. I'm not gonna challenge you on this one. Like, it seems correct. Now, what if you just can't get to agreement and like she's just not playing ball? Like you're like, we need to be a united front. This is better for the kids. Let's try and come to an agreement. Let's work this thing out. She's like, no, my way, highway.
Mm-mm. Well,
What's a guy supposed to do here? How can he handle this scenario? What's our
you,
bargaining chip? What do we got?
this would be mine. I'm going to put myself in that scenario. Um, I love you unconditionally, and this is me talking. This is me talking to the wife. I love you unconditionally. I have showed that. I have proven that. Um, we have a major obstacle in front of us right now, and it's causing a major issue. And you're telling me that I can't do this or this can't happen, and it's going to be your way or getting out. You might as well just serve me with divorce papers. That's essentially what you're telling me. And I, I just think that the marriage part can't be set aside for a moment. It can't be set aside for a disciplinary action. It can't be set aside for a punishment. Um, that has to be the foundation of it all. It does. It has to be. And it has to weather through all them damn storms. And when you combine two climates together, and that's a mom and a stepdad or a dad and a stepmom, those are two climates. There's going to be a lot of damn storms. And I just don't. I can't be chosen between me or my children. You married me. You wanted to be with me, and it just has to be worked out. It just has to be.
What if it's
But
what do we
if
got?
if
Well,
it
what
can't
does a
be,
man have? What's a man got? So she's not doing it. So then what's a guy got? Because this is the most common thing for guys. Is like she's being aggressive, she's being mean, she's tearing me down, she's screaming at the kids just like she did at the gas station. These things are happening. I can't kick her ass, I can't out scream her, I can't starve her or the kids, I can't restrain her and tie her to something. I got nothing. I got that. What am I supposed to do? Like, what am I gonna just have a screaming match with her every time she wants to lose her damn mind? Like, what's my bargaining chip if she's just not playing ball?
is there a bargaining chip?
Well, how does a man hold a line if there's no bargaining chip? If he's got nothing to hold, how is he supposed to hold the line?
If a man doesn't have anything to hold, there's no reason him holding on.
Right.
There's
This is
not. I'm
where
not an advocate. I'm not an advocate of divorce. But if these children and these issues are tearing me and you apart, then maybe the foundation wasn't as strong as it was to begin with.
correct. This is I'm going to put something out there. So those people who don't know about this show, I actually do deep work psychology. I work with people for real. The show is just a show. This is something I do for fun. I actually do the deep work. I have a large men's group and I work with men across the world globally. Like, I work with a lot of people, and I will tear your curses out of you. I will go to the depths of hell with you and fight. Like, so people, I have a very large group of very loyal men who volunteer to work with me because I pulled them out of the depths of fiery fucking hell. I came and got them. And so they know what I really do. The reason that I bring this up is because we run men's groups on this one. And I've talked to other experts. I'm like, what do you do when you have an unhealthy dynamic with unhealthy foundations? Now I'm gonna give you the ending and then work back to the answer here. I am responsible for more ended relationships than saved relationships. The reason I say this, and I wasn't proud of it because I had a video too where I was talking to my men. I'm like, there's guys getting divorces, there's guys who are leaving relationships. This is happening often. The more healthy they're getting, these relationships are failing. And I'm like, am I failing you guys? Am I somehow causing more harm than good? And each of these guys are like, no, bro, we have to stop you there. When I chose her, I was a very unhealthy man. I was not a good man. I was not a good guy. I did bad guy things. I was not honorable. I wasn't noble. I wasn't trustworthy. I wasn't to be respected. I was not good. And I chose a lady who was at my level, who was also not healthy, also not good, also doing bad behavior. We were both unhealthy. And then we've worked together, and now I no longer do those unhealthy behaviors. I know my worth. I know my value. I'm honorable, loyal,
Hmm.
noble. I do sacrifice. I protect my pack. I do good things. And she has no willingness to improve. And it exposes the gap between a healthy and unhealthy person in a relationship. They're like, I didn't realize I was in a toxic dynamic because I
Hmm.
myself was toxic.
Hmm.
And now that I am no longer as poisonous, I'm realizing the poison that she brings to my life, and I have to
Right.
remove that poison.
Hmm.
And so on this one, when I talk to relationship experts, because the guys pulled me back, they're like, dude, you're my fucking hero. You you didn't destroy my marriage, you revealed it to me.
Right.
And in this moment, this is where I said the only card that I see for men today. We can't hit, we can't starve, we can't abuse, those are off the table for men right now. You are a monster and you will be shunned. People will lose their jobs. People will lose their
Hmm.
livelihood. Their reputation will be destroyed. You can't do any of these cards. The only card you have is remove provision. It's autonomy. That's the only card, which means I am independently able to leave
Hmm.
if you ever abuse me. And I believe this is healthy for both sides. Both should have the ability to go. It's not a threat. It's not an ultimatum. It's not in your face. It's not put on the table every argument. It's just if this ever gets really unhealthy, just know that I have the ability to go, but I choose you. I'm not
Hmm.
stuck. I'm not trapped. I've got no options or I'm too codependent and I can't leave. I am going to choose to be with you every day. I have options to go, and I proudly choose you. You're my person. Happily, every day, you're my person on
Hmm.
purpose. But should you ever get abusive? Should you just start feeling backhandy one day?
Hmm.
Or should she start going, I really am into texting other men for attention? And you go, these are non negotiables for
Right.
us. I have autonomy and remove provision to go. And it's the only card that I've seen that's healthy for men to say, babe, if you don't treat me well, you don't get me. And all of the things that I come with, safety, security,
Hmm.
provisions, the fixing the things around the house and doing the stuff, all these things that you have, the ones that come from me, you don't get those anymore. Those are you don't get the privileges of all the things that come with me if you treat me poorly.
Right.
And this is something where I think a lot of guys I run into have fallen for the fact they think marriage is codependency. It's 50-50. You complete me. The Jerry Maguire, you complete me. And it's like, hold on. No, it's 100-100.
You're
You
right. Yep.
complement me.
That's it.
Together we are better. And being in a relationship should be that it's better together than if we weren't together at all.
Hmm.
And if the value of not being with you and not any other person, just not you at all, is higher than with you, that's the health of your relationship.
It is. You're right with that. And I like the number terminology 50-50. No, because if you're only giving me 50%, you've got 50% where you can exhort that somewhere else. 100 and 100 is together. And it should be like that with every subject, every title, every emotion, every issue. And I agree with that 100 to 100%.
I've been challenging this for over a year now. What is the healthiest thing a man can have in a relationship? And women, I have a women's group and women things that I've run groups and I'm doing things for. I believe women like to win. They don't like to compete. And so they don't want any other competition in the game. They just
Right?
want to win. And with that, they want to make sure that they control all the factors. And so guys end up in highly codependent relationships where they give all of the resources to the other side, so they have all of the power and all of the control. They control the finances, they control all the say of things, they control what's bought, what's moved, what happens there, pays all the
Hmm.
bills. These guys will go to work and give all the money and all the power to the female, and then the guy is treated with very low respect, low empathy, low dignity. He is treated very poorly as though he does nothing. And that's why I think there's a big push too for women to be like, more housework from you, more housework from you. I do everything. And we're looking at this and going, he just worked 70 hours this week. Just because you got the check from his work doesn't mean
Right.
he didn't do anything. Where they're like, and I noticed this, and this is something where women are, I'm free to throw in their 2 cents. Whenever I work with women's groups, I notice they keep track of the number of tasks completed. And individual tasks count. Like, oh, there was 4 pairs of shoes around the house, so I did 4 tasks to put them where they go. And I folded the laundry and I did 3 loads of laundry, so that is 5 more tasks I completed. And all you did, Scott, was went to one job. You just went to work. Like, wait a second, Scott does a lot of really difficult shit at work, though. You just counted that as one? It's like,
Right.
yeah, that's just one thing. I'm like,
One
he does a
task.
very dangerous and hard job. Like, that you counted that as one and you counted shoes as four? Well, hold on a second here.
Yeah.
How
Right.
are you
Right.
measuring this?
Yeah.
And so I'm noticing the measurement for these things where I've got guys working 90-hour weeks doing jobs that are life-threatening jobs, they're
Hmm.
dangerous, and come home and the girl's like, you don't do shit around the house. I'm like, you can't do his job. Not don't want to do his job. You can't. And he worked 90 hours. You're like, yeah, all you do is that one thing is work. You're like, 90 hours is a lot.
That's
Yeah, you're
almost
never
two.
home for the kids. Who do you think he's working for?
Right. The family, the kids, the house, the luxuries. Yeah. Mm.
So the autonomy instead of codependency, it seems like a requirement for a healthy marriage. I don't promote everyone get divorced, but I also don't promote trap yourself in an unhealthy situation
Hmm.
to where you can't leave if you're abused.
I agree with that. I agree 100%.
And so we're in a weird time right now where people are trying to force compliance without autonomy. You need to give me everything you have. What's yours is mine, and what's mine is mine. And then they're rewarding women for divorcing men. And this is something I don't agree with.
Mm.
That's why the divorce rate is mostly women filing for divorce, is because they're rewarding bad behavior for ladies, which is going to expose women and it's going to hurt women and it's going to leave a
Mm.
lot of lonely women. And guys are going to unify. Guys are probably going to start creating their own empires on stuff, and they already are. Guys, I'm not red pill, but I can understand the guys who do that. I don't know if you're familiar with any of that
Mm-mm.
stuff. So there's guys who are, they have like MGTOW movements and things like this. This is called men going their own way. They're like, done with bitches, done with
Really?
them. Yeah, they're
Gone.
like, these ladies, they have burned me in every way. I run a business. I have this. I have that. I have this. I have cars. I have money. I have all the things. I have good friends. I have love of the hobbies. I'm a good dude. And every woman I'm with just wants to take everything I got. I'm done with these girls. I don't need them.
Mm.
And so the guys just going their own way. And there's a lot of business owners who look at marriage now as if this was a business deal. This is a terrible business deal. I wouldn't do this business deal. Let me get
Right.
this right. I pay for everything. I supply all of the resources for everything you need for safety, security, and all the elements that make your life good. And should you just have an emotional moment and just decide you're fucking done, or you want to go and do whatever you want to do, I not only lose half of everything I've ever built, I
Mm.
also have to continue paying you afterwards. And we don't even have to have an agreement for the reason you don't want to do the deal anymore. You can
You're
just
right.
change your damn mind. And somehow this would be a good business deal.
Mm.
They're like,
I
I
have
don't
to
think
get.
I'm gonna I don't think I'll do that
I have
deal.
to get a different business license.
Right? Like, I think I'm gonna stay out of that business deal. It
Right.
seems like a bad deal. And if and this is even more frustrating, is the morality for women has gone down lower. So these types of guys who have those can now also prey on the vulnerability of women who don't have morals. They'll just sleep with the guys who have potential, and these guys have no intention to keep them at all.
Mm.
So they can just burn and churn through as many girls as they like. Which,
Mm.
if you're going to give it up, that's on you. That's a moral
Right.
choice. So I don't judge anybody. That's what you do. That's what you do. But it's created a transactional lifestyle that's becoming more and more popular. And
Mm.
that's a weird thing to watch because the families die. Like, there is no
Yeah.
family anymore.
Right.
That goes
Right.
away. And we're in a weird time where people seem to can't wait to do it.
Mm. Mm. Mm.
You know, the other way is if you watch the Universe 25 stuff, which is a little psychology stuff, but if you get into like what happens when things are all good, when good men create good times, when strong men make good times, you've heard those
Mm-hmm.
things. Well, we're in the good times. What are the biggest problems people have? Like, we're in a time where we can just go like, you don't agree with what you should call me, you should go to jail. Like, wait a second. You didn't call me the right thing, so you should.
Right.
That's not a thing. Like,
But
we're
that's the way it is now.
we're creating problems
Yep.
because there's no problems. We're going to make them then I'll just make some emotional
I'll make
shit
a
up.
problem up.
Yeah. People have anxiety about things that could go wrong because nothing's going wrong.
You're right. You're right about that. Yeah. Oh
That's
man,
a lot of
just
times when I'm working with people on this stuff, I'm like, can we look around for a second? Are you actually in danger? Well, no, but what if this happens? What if? I'm like, I know the what ifs, but are you?
mhm,
Take a look around. Like, you're worried about lions attacking you today? Are there any lions?
right.
Well,
And I
no.
think if on that line, I think people, I say that most people need a little drama in their life, and if there's not drama, I think they want to create a little bit just to have a little bit of a okay. I feel important because I said this, or I thought about this, or I think it just kind of uplifts them. That's probably a bad word to use, but
No,
um,
it's I think I've got some theories. It goes against traditional psychology, but I think that it's going to work really well. I'm going to do a little foreshadow on some things I'm doing when I'm working with women on some things I've noticed, and I want your opinion. Now, please challenge this stuff just for like fun's sake. Just have fun with
okay,
it. Okay.
okay,
So I believe there are parts of women that are in there. Now, just so you ladies, before you get all up in arms, I believe there's a positive reason for it, but it has a very negative note to it at first. So here's one. Here's a theory. In a relationship, women are the chaos. They have a chaos element built into them. Just like you said, when there is peace, people need drama. Who's most likely to create an emotional drama? Now, before you ladies who have never dated other ladies go, yeah, well, guys do that too. Listen first. Listen before you start doing your traditional point the finger blame game. All I'm making is an observation that women are the chaos. What are your thoughts?
you know, you know, I believe that the women carry a more emotional. I'll stop there. I think women are more emotional than men. I think most of them are, in my life being and in my relationship being in the past. So as far as the baggage is concerned, there, um, the women have because of the emotional fortitude that they have. I don't know if it's called, I wouldn't know if it's called fortitude, but of the emotional foundation, they're just really more emotional than the men are. So that comes with that drama, and it does. I don't think it's sought out. I think it's just naturally inbred. Um, you know, I ran over a roach. So did I. But the roach just laid there and suffered. And, again, but that emotional part goes back to, I think, biology, how they're designed, how women are developed because of the once a month emotional cycles they go through. So I think some of it wouldn't be as bad if it wasn't because of that. But I do believe that women are more emotional about things than the men are in the relationship. And if it's not something that is said correctly or done correctly or um, a task that wasn't done maybe during that time where they're a little bit more emotional that moment, then I think it causes an issue.
Right. So naturally, the chaos feels more dramatic.
Right.
Like there's more drama involved. Now, it's not just the one cycle. They got 4 hormone cycles in a month. So like they're going through like multiple hormonal cycles throughout just the
Hmm.
month. So it's 4. And so it's
Yeah.
even more complicated because you don't know, like even they don't know. Just so you know, when I work with women, they fucking hate it too. Just so you know, they don't like it either. They're like, I don't can't control it. Like 1 second I'm good, next second I'm crying because like I couldn't find my pen. Like I don't know why that's a thing, like
Hmm.
she's like, I hate it too. I don't like it.
Right.
And so ladies don't like it too. But we lean towards the chaos element as drama. They create drama, which is there. So we can't deny it's not there, and the ladies don't like it either. Here's the positive side to it. Here's why I believe women have chaos. Chaos just it means out of routine. It means something I didn't expect. It's out of order. It's not orderly. It's spontaneous. It's exciting. It's wild. It's untamed. And so I don't believe that chaos is necessarily a negative thing. It's just leans that way because women do rank 3 times higher in negative emotions than guys do. That's why they gossip. That's why they, do all their negative talk and they complain more than guys do. And it's by a lot. And so I believe that the positive element of chaos is if you came home and your girl surprised you, like, I love you, and like surprised you, like, whoa, I didn't expect it, or a surprise party, or like we're going to go celebrate tonight, and you're like, I didn't even know we were doing a celebration. We're celebrating you tonight. I just decided. You're like, that's not in the routine. I didn't plan that.
Right.
Or like surprise, she pounced on you and surprise sex is happening, or something. You're like, whoa, this is all spontaneous. This isn't orderly. It's not part of the plan. It wasn't on the calendar, but she's fun and exciting. And I didn't see that coming. Like, well, that's still chaos. It's not order, but it doesn't have to be drama or
Negative
hate,
chaos.
negative. It doesn't have
Right.
to be. But I believe there's an element of flow and wildness to women because they're emotional that it can also be very positive. So this would be a
Hmm.
training then. You're either trained and understand that you can be a positive, like let your chaos flow, but be the positive chaos. Be the wild one who does the thing that's fun. Be playful, spontaneous, just like you used to be.
Right.
I'm calling out the dating.
Uh,
Just like you
uh,
used to be cool, remember?
the used to be terminology is a tough one, isn't it?
It is sure is tough. All right, I got another one. I got another one. Women are never satisfied. What's your thoughts on women are never satisfied?
I believe that women have a certain, I don't know if it's taught to them. I believe women have a certain expectation. And then if you're lucky, you being a man, if we're lucky enough to reach that satisfaction in different areas, and all across it, different areas. Some are very hard to satisfy, and some are very easy to satisfy. But I think once you reach that level where all the blocks are checked off, boring. Does it become, you say they're not always satisfied. Does it become boring? Well, he does this, this, this. That's everything I want in a man. Well, I saw this on TV, or I saw this on TikTok, or I saw this online. How come he doesn't do that? That does that make it? Does that make her not satisfied anymore? Um, I don't know if a woman is fully satisfied personally and professionally during their age at the same time. I like my daughter is a 30-year-old real estate agent. She's at the peak of her career right now. If she's killing it. She's just a gorgeous model, you know, but she's not satisfied. I'm like, how are you not satisfied? You know, here you are, you could be a model for any magazine, any book, any company. You're the number one real estate agent in Wyoming. You drive a 2024-year-old Mustang, a 2024 Mustang. How are you not satisfied? You have everything. You have everything. So, does that non-satisfaction come with age? You know, to reverse the question back to you, they're not satisfied, or they're not satisfied because of the age plateau that they're in. Because does a 50-year, like Amy, 54 years old, does she want the same thing that my daughter does, who's 30? Absolutely not. So the level of satisfaction is different, So I think it's age driven with the women and not being satisfied because at 22, 23, you don't know what the hell you want. You just don't. You just don't. You're just now paying a rent. You're just now making your own damn car payment. At 30, all you give a shit about is making as much money as you can and getting every materialistic thing in the world that you want. At 54, like Amy and I, we're ready to hang it up and call it quits. We don't give a shit. So, but to say that they're never satisfied, I think it's based off of their age. I just do. And I think once you start thinking about retirement, and I say retirement, if you're 25, if you're 30, if you're working a job where you're paying a 401k or a simple IRA or an aggressive IRA, whatever, and you're kind of thinking about retirement, but when you get to the 45-year age plateau and the 50-year, and you're really thinking about retirement, what is left to be satisfied? So I just think it's age driven with the satisfaction part of it. Now, if you're a man in that relationship and you've been through all those satisfaction levels from 20 to 30 to 40 to 50, you need, and you survived it, you need a fucking parade, man. You need a parade, dude, because
No
you went through the
parade.
trenches with that shit.
Yeah, right. They're going to tell you all the things you didn't do right. Yeah, but you could have
I
done
think
it
the
better.
satisfaction is based off, not being completely satisfied. It's based off age, off of their age and their maturity. So I could be wrong, but that's what
No,
I
no,
believe.
it's opinion question. So like, if
Right?
everybody's offended, whatever, you found something you need to work through. I think it's a good answer as far as that goes. It can be definitely age related, and that goes for almost all of us too. Like
Hmm.
what I wanted when I was 18 is different than when I'm in my 40s. It's not the same
Completely
category. So
different. Completely different, isn't it?
yeah, it's very, and so like it's a good answer. I think that's a good answer, especially for ladies, and I think they won't completely disagree, especially women who are older and have more wisdom will be able to go like, no, I can at least identify that's different for me now, so that's fair.
Right.
I have a positive version of never satisfied. Is it going to be a little more traditional? Probably. But I believe that the reason throughout history, because remember, burden of performance wasn't put on women until just our almost our lifetime.
Hmm.
Like it before, like even Leave It to Beaver and all that shit. Being a stay-at-home mother was a highly honorable
It
position. This
was.
was
It was.
this. It wasn't like, oh, you're just a mom. It was like respected. Also, I do believe that the combinations of technology have really complicated being a stay-at-home mom. That's maybe a different topic where like what used to be like hand washing clothes or really like cooking dinner, like really like chopping all the things and doing the work for has turned into one button or peel off the plastic,
Yeah. Right. I
and so
agree.
that's really taken away from a lot of the value that goes into like, doing that job. So that's also maybe been a part of like the technology has taken away a lot of the nobility to it. But aside from that element, the never satisfied part to it, I think that was there to be encouraging to your spouse and your partner. I think part of hypergamy is that you choose a man who has high potential. Like he has the ability to do great things.
Hmm.
And part of a woman's role when I work with women, I'm like, what do you want your job to be? They actually really enjoy being a solid support. It does feel fulfilling and good to like build your man and make sure he is good.
Hmm.
The burden of performance has put a large toll on this generation of women, and a very small percentage of women are actually pulling it off without having issues come up from all the stress that comes to do it.
Hmm.
Being burden of beauty and burden of performance is, I do not envy that job at all. It's
Hmm.
very
Hmm.
difficult to do. And so with the never satisfied system, I think it was supposed to be to help push in a very positive, encouraging, cheering way your guy way past any potential limit he would have chosen for himself. The reason why is us guys are pretty happy when we check all the boxes. Everybody eat, we're all full.
That's it.
Nice. Everybody's safe, we're all safe. Nice. Is the house
Yep.
working? No leaks. Yes. Like you're going through and like, do we have cars? We have them. Yes. Like all my boxes. Good sex, baby. Yes.
That's it.
All my boxes are checked. What do we do now? Let's enjoy the fruits of our labor. And now that I have accomplished, I'm going to chill out for a little while. Now, an unsatisfied woman's going to go, baby, I know you did good. I know
That's
you did
it.
good.
Now
But
comes her check box.
I think we can get more. I think you've got more in you, baby. And I
That's it.
believe in you. I think you could take it to the next level. You're like, do we need the next level? It's like, no, I just know you can do it. You're like, yeah, I guess maybe I could do it. Let's get the next level together, baby. Okay. You know what? Maybe we can next level this shit. Let's do that. And I think an unsatisfied, healthy version of that
Hmm.
will help build your family up. Because remember, and this is something I would challenge, our guys are natural givers. I
All right.
don't believe women are natural receivers.
Yep.
I'm not trying to push polarization, but even the physical design of it all, men are the giver, women are receivers. That's just how we're
Right.
built. That's also why, if you look financially, his money is my money and my money is my money. That's not give mentality, that's take mentality. But guys are the givers, in which
Right.
case, if she builds her man up, everything he gets goes to her. So it's
Yep.
in her best interest to build up a good man in a
It
healthy
is.
way, which means never being satisfied will help him break through his potential barriers that he would stop at complacency for winning. Because winning is the worst thing that can happen to us. Because, well, now that I won, what am I fighting for?
Right. Exactly.
Well, she's like, baby, get me more. Think so? Yeah, we got this.
Yeah.
So then,
The Toyota turns into a BMW. The 2,000 square foot house is a 3,500 square foot house. The mop turns into a electric sweeper. So yeah.
but I think it's one of those things where that's built in because times were so tough before
Yeah.
that for a guy to achieve his potential, there required a good team. I believe that's in there for a healthy thing. What has it turned into today? Nagging, complaining, disposable relationships. I can always just get better. Swipe
Right.
right, dating sites,
Right.
DMs blowing up, getting social media attention. And you're like, man, this can also go really bad if we go the other way. But I
Hmm.
believe it's built in to be positive. But not trained, this turns into a very toxic woman.
Right. I agree with that.
I got a whole list of these, man. Like there's a whole bunch of these things I have for our ladies that look like this, where you're like, these are right, they are there. They worry more than guys do. There's more worry in them. Well, is that good or bad? Well, sometimes we miss shit because we're overconfident.
Right. Right.
So it may be a good idea to pay attention. Fair enough. That could go wrong. You're not wrong.
Right.
You're like, no, I think that if I put this here, that'll heat it up faster, baby. That may blow the whole house up. That actually could blow the whole house up. You're not wrong. I
Yeah.
didn't
Don't
think
do
about
that.
that.
Right.
You're right. Fair enough. Like, so I've got some theories on this, but it's cool to play that game. Um, Aside from going this direction, what would you just say? Like, man, I got some experience advice from me and Amy. If we could just tell people, like, guys, do this shit, you won't argue so much.
You
Like, if we
know,
could help people, what would you help people with to remember?
yeah, the one thing I want to say to anybody, because, on our TikTok page, we get a lot of, I wish, sh- yeah, probably our followers are probably 75% females, and they are. And, they relate to our relationship. And, to answer your question is put that person first. I mean, just put it first. Everybody has a different love language, and they do. And I didn't really understand that till about 8 years ago. I didn't. Um, but the one thing that I could tell people is that nothing comes first in this entire world except Amy. It just don't. It just don't. I don't give a damn what it is. If I'm having a shitty day at work, I look at my phone. There's her picture, and I just take a little breath for a second. Um, you know, marriage couples, a lot of our comments on our page are, you do this. Mine doesn't do this. I wish mine did this. I wish mine did that. I wish mine did this. You're so this. You're so that. Well, I'm not so that. That's just who I am. And who you married is who he is. Once you change that person, then he's not who you married. And so, and that goes both ways. I mean, I love Amy today the same amount of love that I have for her the first day I told her that. It didn't change. And I I do that because she has, like you said earlier, built me up, and vice versa. Amy's a highly sought out medical professional in our community, and she has them fucked up days, and she does. She can't tell me names and stuff because of HIPAA, but she has them fucked up patients, them fucked up days, them doctors, the nurses, the techs, and my job is to lift her up. My job is to say, hey, look here, you walk through this door, that hospital shit is done. You're not assuming another row, you're leaving that one at that fucking front door. And, we have fun with each other. We never, ever, never, ever disrespect each other. And we just don't. I never talk down to her. She never talks down to me. I mean, what's weird about mine and her relationship is that we are so fucking polar opposites. And I say that because I work days. She works nights. I sleep with my wife 2 weeks out of the year. Now, most people don't have that part in their relationship. Most people just, the normal 40 hours, sleep in the bed every night. But the one thing I can say is, the one thing I can say is, love that person, show that person that you love that person, and make that person number one. There's no, fuck them kids. I got a big platform on our thing. It says, fuck them kids. Fuck them kids. The wife and the husband comes first. If you're starving, starve together. If you're eating steak, eat steak together. If you're having a flat tire, have a flat tire together. It's just once you realize, so, somebody told me about 6 years ago that they didn't believe in soulmates. And I looked at that. I was like, what? You don't believe in a soulmate? She's like, hell no. When you found the right person? I was like, She says, when you find your version of fucked up. And I thought about that for a second. I said, well, can you explain that? Yep. And that person said, when they know all your downfalls, they know all your triggers, they know all your secrets, they know all your triggers, your happiness, what motivates you, and vice versa, you have found your version of fucked up, and you'll be happy ever after. Here we are, Amy and I. Yeah, thank you. But I just, it's we don't work at our marriage. I think, and I learned this about 10 years ago. Once you start working at a marriage, it's the day it starts failing because you're pretending.
Oh,
I heard that shit, Rick, and I was floored by that. I was like, what? And I thought about it. Once you start working at a marriage and it doesn't come natural, you are starting that part to go away. You're
mm.
pretending.
Yeah.
And
Once you betray the authenticity of the relationship, then you start
yep,
having to work for it. Yeah.
that's it. And I thought that was some serious shit that dude told me one day. And I'm who I am. I'm who I am in the morning. I get out of bed hyper as hell. And when I crash, shit, it's like the Titanic. It's gone. But between then, I'm full steam ahead with Amy. Everything that I do revolves around her. Everything I do. And, I think once a child sees that, once a stepchild sees that, once our grandkids, and we have three of them who are very cognizant about what's going on in our lives, once they see that, Mimi and Pop are good. Mom and Amy are good, or Mom and Scott are good. Dad and Amy are good. And I think once they see that, it's a good thing. And so that's what I would, that's what I would say. Um, find your version of fucked up, and love like there's no tomorrow.
Yeah, that's beautiful, man. That's pretty good. I like that. I like that a lot. Well said.
Feel free
Very
to
well
use
said.
it. It's not copyrighted.
No, no, we're definitely posting that, and I'm claiming all of it.
You claim it all. Claim it. I don't care.
I'm just gonna dub it with my voice. I got you.
That's
No,
it.
but
Done with your voice. That's it. Yeah. Just give
no,
me a
that's
shout out.
beautiful. That's pretty
Yeah.
beautiful, and it's a good foundation. It's also a good reminder too that we train our people how to love us. And
Yeah.
we have like a 50-50 following. It's really weird. I show people our algorithms. We're like about 335,000 or something. I don't even know what the
Mm-hmm.
number is. I don't even run it. We have a bunch of people follow us, and it's 50-50, half men, half
Really?
women. It's 50 right down the damn middle. It's amazing.
Wow.
And people are like, how did you pull that shit off? Especially since I'm a men's expert. And I'm like,
Right.
don't fucking know, man. I don't know. But it's one of those things. It's a reminder that we train our people how to love us. We
Huh.
train them. We train
Huh.
them. And so if they're like, you do what I wish my husband would do, well, you trained them how to love you.
That's it. That's
How
it.
much do you reward them for good behavior, and how much do you complain and nag them? You trained him how to love you.
Mm-hmm.
And if you
You're
would
right about that.
reward good behavior, he would do the same things.
The same as that thing. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you're right with that. Is that you know you're taught how to love that person. You are because people love differently. And they do. I may have loved one woman differently than I did this one, and this one, than this one. And here I'm thinking, if I didn't love her this way, and I go love this woman this way, that one failed, so I'm going to change it. Then this one here, I'm going to change this one. What the fuck am I doing wrong? And
Mm-hmm.
then, I mean, it was us, you know, I won't say it again, I promise, but I found my version of fucked up.
Yeah, it's a win,
I
bro.
did.
That's
Hmm.
that's fun that your goal is find your version of fucked up and fuck those kids.
Fuck them kids, yeah.
Just so I can make sure what that means, because it can easily be misconstrued. Fuck those
Right.
kids. What do you mean fuck those kids? What do you mean by that?
Well, um, kids, that's what started kind of our popularity a little bit with our page, um, because them some bitches want everything. They want it
Mhm.
then. They don't care. They don't care whose fucking phone bill it is. They don't care whose fucking rent it is. They don't care
No.
if you're on their insurance. Them some bitches don't care. I love them. I love them with all my heart. And I'm like you. You need me to bleed for you? Cut me. But
Mhm.
damn, fuck.
You don't.
I mean,
You won't
really?
even say thank you afterwards.
That's it. I bought you dinner and you're on your fucking telephone?
Mhm.
Yeah. You would pay your light bill again? Fuck. Yeah. So, I mean, our platform it started the popularity of FTK. And it was basically, hey, we have grown kids, but fuck them. I mean, they are just complete. They they cost more money when they move out than they do when they're living with you.
What? Don't mess with me, man. I'm getting excited. We got one going to college next year.
Let me tell you something.
Oh man.
Never let them move out. Never, never.
What's about to happen to me, Scott?
Well, let's see
Give
here.
me my psychic reading.
Okay, I'm gonna give you a psychic reading. If if you're still paying the cell phone bill, you'll keep paying it. If you're
Okay.
still on that insurance, you'll still be paying it.
Shit.
The health insurance, you'll still be paying it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here. The debit card or credit card that is authorized user, that shit's not going away. Hell
Okay.
no. Um, it's it's the one thing that pisses me off about those kids who are getting ready to move out like yours is them fuckers say, I know, I
They
know.
sure
Yeah.
do.
Hey, don't do that. Oh, I know. And then when the I know happens and the fucking consequences come in, guess who they fucking call? Hey, Dad. Hey, Scott. I told you fucking people don't do that. Yeah. So, I mean, it's, it's all of the lessons that we have tried to teach them through that 17 through 21 year of age, and that they just like, okay, they're good, and then you're like, oh, like you're like, oh, see, you're gonna go to college. We're kind of sad. We were throwing a fucking party.
I'm not sad. No, don't listen.
Oh,
I've already got the balloons blown up. Don't get me mixed up. I'm ready to
I mean,
go. I've
I
already got
mean,
plans for that room.
we got the last, we got the last one out, and he was in a rental house. He was causing problems in a rental house, wasn't paying his bills. I'm like, you gotta be fucking kidding me, man. I mean, just give me a fucking break. But I mean, it's it's the things that we teach them
Mm-hmm.
that we think they got, and they do
Oh,
the complete opposite.
they don't got.
They
Listen,
don't. They don't.
Scott,
They don't.
Scott, you're coming from just life experience. Imagine having a dad who's a human behavioral expert. I I call psychic readings on these motherfuckers like months in advance. I'm like, most likely gonna do this. They're probably gonna do this. That boy is probably gonna do this. Don't be surprised if they do that. What do their parents do? Oh, don't. This is most likely what's gonna happen. And you know what's even more frustrating? I have like a 99.9% success rate.
That's fucking awesome.
Yeah. How fun is it when like, wow, I'm right again? Like they
Yeah,
fucking hate it. I got teenage girls, they hate it. I call boyfriends when they're gonna break up with them like 2 months before. I'm like, that's bad behavior, hon. You gotta watch out. They're like, I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear it. And then he's breaking up because he needs to work on himself. And I'm like, does he? Does he though?
yeah.
Because that kind of
Right.
guy has already got a girlfriend. No, he's working on himself. I'm like, okay, well, that seems unlikely, but let's pretend. And then we'll see him a week later holding another girl's hands. I'm like, is he still working on himself, or is that me wrong again?
And you hit the nail on the head about predicting what's going to happen. I mean, 2 months ago, we told our daughter, look, you're tired. Look, your tires fucked up. Don't be fucking dicking around. Go get some tires.
Mm-hmm.
4 days later, please don't say nothing to me. What, baby? What happened? Uh, I'm on the side of the interstate. You got a fucking flat tire, don't you? Please don't say nothing to me. I went over there, took care of it, didn't say nothing to her, but it's just so yeah. So that's what to expect.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, it's just that initial 21 through 24 age that just how can you be so fucking dumb? What's
I think
going on in their head?
it's their jobs. We've been trying to do a little differently, and so Um, I've been really trying to be like, listen, I am understanding your development into independence. We try to wean them off, and so it's like, all right, you're about 30% bills now, and now we're gonna take it. You're gonna next notch of bills. Pretty soon, you're gonna be independent.
How'd that work
Well,
out for you?
this so far it's working. We got like
Hmm.
they're working more, they're doing their jobs, she's doing her things, like so far going that direction. I know the middle one is going to probably be the one who's like, let me keep doing the credit card thing. Like that's the
Hmm.
one who I'm like, oh, we're doing adult games. Well, we'll give you more adult responsibility and more adult privileges. You have to pay all of these and all of these. And so we
Right.
push our girls into the independence real hard.
Hmm.
So like one of our girls, she was playing sports and she got a mild concussion, and she drove herself to the doctors and paid her own copay. And before we
Oh
even knew
wow.
it happened, we're like,
Right.
where are you? Where are we? Were live actually when we found out. We were getting the messages and we're like, where are you? She's like, I had to go to the doctors. And we're like, what? And so we ended our last live, and we went to the doctors because she went and took care of all her own stuff. We were like, well done.
Congratulations, chick.
Well,
Hey.
well done. That's our girl. Way to go. So we really push the effort on independence,
Right.
but they don't know yet what they don't know. And so they taught me. I've got, remember, these are the three teenagers. I got 5 females in this house and me. So I'm outnumbered every day. And
Every day.
so every day is
It's a
outnumbered.
it's a lose-lose situation, isn't it?
I already know. And so for those of you out there who are like, you're in my prayers. Like,
Right.
listen, it's already a lose every day for me in here. But they taught me a long time ago that being right is stupid. And so I just wait around with the med kit now. I'm like, the stove will burn you if you touch it.
Yep.
I didn't say don't touch it. I just said the stove's going to burn you when you touch it. And then I'll sit there with the med kit like, who's going first?
Right.
They're like, we're not going to do that. We're not going to. I'm like, I'm just going to leave the med kit right here on the counter. I'm going to go in the other room where I cannot see anybody. Leaving this here, can't see anybody. You girls, I know you'll make the right choices. And then in the middle of the night, and I'm like, who needs
There
a
you go.
med kit?
There, man. Who needs a med kit? Right.
I knew you were gonna touch it. Did at least your sisters watch you touch it? And they're like, we told her not. We told her not to do it. We knew. We knew. I'm like, you learned, right? Look at the burns. You learned.
Right,
We did a good job. All right, let's
right,
bandage that up. I didn't say don't. I just know you're gonna. They taught me being right is stupid, so I just wait to
right.
be wrong.
That's it. Just wait
And
to
I'm
be
like,
wrong.
there you go. It's interesting, yeah. Having this game with the kids. I'm not looking forward to what you just said though. They cause more outside. Like, man, we've been trying to wean them off. What are you talking about?
Mm-mm, mm-mm.
Teenagers. It's a tough life though. I have to remember, and this is something for all of you out there who have teenagers. Teenagers hard. You got to
It
remember
is.
it's hard. Everything's changing, especially if you got like 12, 13-year-olds. Remember, before you go this fucking little asshole, before you do that, that is like one of the hardest years for both boys and girls. It's one of the
Eh,
toughest years. Everything's changing.
Yeah,
Hormones are through the roof. It's really difficult. Don't be mean to your teenagers. They're going to be
right.
mean to you, but have the fortitude to remember, instead of calling them names, remember like 13 is hard. 14
And
is
it
hard.
and it's
Remember,
harder for them because of the power of the cell phone. It just is.
it's
I mean,
impossible.
the biological part is hard. I mean, just the foundation of it. But once you get driven into social media and you're seeing everything, it just makes it so much more difficult for those 13-year-olds. I mean, look, somebody asked me the other day, would you go back and be 21 again? I was like, you're an idiot. Yeah, I would never go back and be 21 again. I
Wait,
just couldn't.
do I get to keep my mind?
Ah, ah, ah.
If you put this brain in a 21-year-old's body, I'm
Different
gonna be over
story.
his. I'll be
Different
rocking
story.
that shit at
Different
21.
story. Yeah, different
You give
story.
me give me 21-year-old youth with this wisdom, I'm gonna fuck some shit up.
Hell yeah. But I mean, going
I'll
back
take
being
that bet.
21 and ignorant with the brain of 21, you couldn't pay me to do
No.
that shit all over again. I wouldn't mind having some years back in my life, but I was
Yeah,
ignorant and I was overseas during all that shit during 21, but I couldn't do that shit again. Mm-mm.
yeah. I'll take youth with wisdom. I'm
Yeah,
just not gonna go back to the youth being wasted on the young. I'm not gonna go back to
exactly.
that nonsense again.
Exactly. Exactly.
It's an interesting part, but yeah, love on your kids. It's a rare job. You've had them all move out. The empty nest thing's a real thing. Who struggled
Yeah.
more? Is that her or is that you?
Uh, Amy.
Yeah, the empty nest thing's
Yeah.
legit for the ladies.
Yeah.
Adrian's
And I
worried.
think, and I think because of the nurturing part,
Hmm.
as fathers, we're trying to build them up to, say, hey, look, this is what we have, what we got, what we do, what we provide, the structure. I was taught at a younger age, and I thought it was kind of cool. I was taught to cook. I was taught to wash clothes. I was taught to iron. I was taught to just kind of be a neat person.
Hmm.
My sister was taught to change the oil in a car, change a tire, change the string on the weed eater, and the two philosophies behind that for me never depend on a woman for these things. Other one never depend on a man for these things.
Hmm.
I thought it was kind of interesting. That was back in the we're talking the early '80s, and then that's before we had access to anything that we have access now. Where something goes wrong, you just YouTube the shit out of it. Um, but it's tough being that age, and I just can't, like you said, don't be hard on the kids. They're going through a mental mind game that their own self right now. But it was hard on Amy though for her to let them kids go out. So
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough for her. It's really tough too. The internet, I think, if I have to look forward, if I'm looking from like the psychology point of view on this, I believe if we look into future generations and they go, wait, you were giving little kids, like you were giving this to a child? Like, are you out of your fucking mind? Do you know what this
right,
thing does to kids' brains? You can't do that. Are you crazy?
right,
Like, I think the future us will look back like you might as well have just given them guns and bazookas. Like,
yeah,
what'd you give them that for? That'll mess them all up. And it
hmm
did. I watched really closely the studies, and this stuff has been happening for a while now. the studies on what social media does to children, it has an effect on boys. It is destroying girls.
I bet so. Yeah, because
Like,
there's so many different things out there that a girl has to be. And I didn't mean to interrupt, but if a girl's on social media and she's 14 and she sees this other girl who's 14, how come I can't look
comparison,
like her? How come
comparison.
I can't be like this? How come I don't look like her? Why don't I look like that? And yeah,
Mhm.
I'm
The
glad I,
comparison curse is in every single woman I've worked with, and it's somewhere around like right when they start developing. So like
wow.
11 to 12.
Yeah. Hmm.
And you even more ironic is whenever I help women break the curses for these comparison curses or self-worth or self-esteem curses, they were all put there by another woman.
Hmm.
That's an
Yeah.
interesting thing when I have to go like, who put that there? And it was mom or my aunt or
Wow.
my
Wow.
step or my friend, or now we got social media. And remember when we grew up in like, the 80s, when we were growing up, well, your comparison circle was like school or
That's it. That's it.
community or work, and you were limited to maybe at most a couple thousand people.
The
Well, now
most.
now
Now
these
it's
girl
billions of people.
billions, it's global.
Hmm.
It's the
Right.
0.001%. And you can't compete with
You
global.
can't. You
Like the
can't. Hmm.
hottest chick in Brazil, the hottest chick in Russia, the hottest chick in Japan. And here you are, 14 years old in middle school, going, I don't look like any of this.
Right.
Like,
And so
well,
now you.
how is she supposed to compete? And then that's the attention they're getting and all these things. And I feel like I'm not good enough. These comparisons are put in there young. Guys don't give as much of a crap. What's even
Right.
more dangerous is girls do reputation demolition for bullying and cyberbullying for girls. It's not even close what they
Hmm.
do to each other than what boys do. It's not even close.
Wow.
Boys are more
Really?
physical with
Yeah. Yeah.
bullying.
Yeah.
Cyberbullying is off the charts for girls. They create anonymous accounts and demolish a girl.
Sure. Yeah.
Demolish. And remember the whole wet socks thing.
Yeah.
Like, what would you rather have? Somebody push you into a locker or someone decimate who you are as a person?
Hmm.
Which one do you think is worse? Would you rather take
Uh.
the push into the locker
Yeah.
or someone
Yeah.
destroy your soul forever?
Yeah. Shove my ass in a locker. I'm getting out of it.
And
I'm
that's
getting
why
out of it.
we're seeing the psychological effects on the boys are not even close to the psychological effects in the girls.
Right.
Social media, I believe, is the weapon against women.
It is.
And this is
Hmm.
my hypothesis. I'm putting it out there because it does create an inability to be authentic because of the highest levels of comparison across the world, and
Right.
that burden of beauty is still on them, and they're comparing themselves to everyone.
Right.
It's impossible.
Yeah. I
It's
just.
impossible.
I couldn't be a female in today's world if I'm social media driven.
They
I just
they
couldn't.
they
I just
all
couldn't.
are though.
Yeah.
It's like, because remember they need acceptance and
Yeah.
approval
All
mostly
right.
by other women, not by the
Mm-hmm.
boys, mostly by other
Mm-hmm.
women. And the way you get that is you have to have certain apps, you have to have certain popularity, certain likes, certain types of posts.
Right. Right.
Listen, we've talked to our girls about this. We've even removed there's certain apps where like this is so unhealthy. I think Snapchat is one that we
Yeah.
don't do. It's a
Yeah. It's
very
one of the.
unhealthy app.
Yeah. Very much so. Yeah. Very, very much
And
so.
we've caught our girls like doing very unhealthy things with these apps because they're designed to do so. And there are no defenses because the social pressures are off the charts. I'm
Right.
putting it out there. And I'll even put in like there's the teenage boys. If you guys think that like you have your boy is on the up and up, there's a few things your boys are using their phone for. It's sports, video games, hanging with friends, and mostly pornography. It's
Mm-hmm.
just a mobile porn hub for your little dude. Just in
That's
case you're
all it is.
curious, he's
Yeah.
looking at every weird thing he can. Now, I was studying the pornography effect. It's not as devastating as people want to make it out to be, except for maybe the women don't want to compete. They just want to win element. So don't look at other women. So I need to control that element. But
Mm-hmm.
I was looking at like the psychological effects where it doesn't really fuck dudes up that much. Like they'll look at that thing and they'll go, okay, cool. It's kind of like I like that pizza, but that pizza didn't define me. Like I liked it, but I'm good. I'm moved on. Like it's that kind of thing where most of it's an effect until it gets into like extremes,
Hmm.
like
Sure.
addiction, where it gets
Right.
into like I can't stop doing it every day. Like,
Right.
then it gets into extremes. But that's anything. Even if I took too much aspirin, I fucking die. So like anything extreme is gonna have an issue. But for the most part, like the psychological effect is like very minimal. Like the guys
Hmm.
aren't, they still do their jobs and they still go do their things and they're not in depression and they're not, their anxiety's not through the roof. And if anything, it's got more medicinal benefits than it has not because of oxytocin and stress relief and shit. And
Right.
so you're like, ah, that's a trickier argument. I know you just don't like it, but it by itself isn't doing
Right.
half as much damage as social media is to our girls.
Hmm.
And I'm like, so which one? Well, social media is better than porn. It's like, not if we look at what's happening, because the kid watching porn isn't suicidal, but this girl on social media is.
Hmm.
And that's scarier. This
Hmm.
kid, she can't sleep and she's not taking care of herself because of social media. He jerked off 4 times a day. Which one should we
Right.
be trying to stop?
Right. Exactly. Right. Hey, Rick, I have to cut my time short. I'm sorry. I just got some husband things I got to take care of. It's time for Amy
Well,
to go to work. So,
oh yeah.
um, yeah.
Speaking of husband things, yeah, you go get
Speaking
it,
of
buddy.
husband things, right?
Go
Yeah. So
get it, buddy.
I've enjoyed my time with you today, and it's been great knowing you, meeting you, talking with you, learning from you. And I've learned a lot from you today. And I hope we can chat again soon.
Yeah. We'll be in touch, man. It's such an honor.
Awesome,
Thank
dude.
you, Scott.
Awesome.
I
Thanks,
appreciate you.
man. Have a great weekend.
You too.
Bye bye.